suggestion. I've been checking with other school districts because our board meetings should not be 5 hours long. It doesn't help anything. We don't get business done, and it results in chaos. So I have been contacting other school districts to see how they do their meetings, and one thing that I did find out was that at other school districts, they only have the superintendent, maybe an assistant superintendent, and a business manager attend their meetings. And I look out in the audience and I see about 20 of our administrators here at every single board meeting, and there's no need for them to be here. I know they get comp time. I've heard about it, that they can come in late the next day or whatever, but I feel that unless there's a specific item on an agenda, that I'm asking the board to give general consensus to allow all our administrators to stay home, go home at night and recharge so that they can go to work the next day on time, feeling rested, and do the job we pay them to do. And if there is something specific, then they can come into the meeting. And if it's something that you give us a report on instead of us always seeing PowerPoints or whatever, if we have more questions, we can contact that administrator, or if it's something important, we can have them come to the meeting the next month. But I just don't feel that our administrators need to sit in here every single time and go over every single little thing with us whenever. That's something that generally other school districts don't do, and that's why their meetings are 1.5 to 2 hours and our meetings are 5 hours. So I'm going to ask general consensus of the board that any administrators that don't have something specifically on the budget, with the exception of Mr. Brandenburg, one of the assistant superintendents, and Dr. Kerr, and whoever you need for the videotaping, I would ask that the other ones, that we not require them to come to board meetings unless we specifically need them to. And I'm going to ask general consensus of the board for that. Is that all right?
Rose, could I ask a quick question? I assume it's not a policy that they're here, that it's
right,
that Dr. Kerr has expressed a desire to have them here. I think we should give Dr. Kerr a chance to provide an explanation as to why you think they should be here, or if not, it's something that just always was, then that's fine too. That's
okay. Sure.
I have a question. How is that going to speed up the meeting?
We end up with a lot of different people at the podium going over things. Like a typical example was last week, whenever we ended up going over the audit here that was very simple and plain to read, but we listened to about 25 minutes of people explaining what we needed to read and basically just reading what we could read in the book. So you start talking about that over and over again, and that adds up. And so yes, that's where that's coming from as far as that. The other item that I want to look at is that we have too many items on our agenda at one time that really aren't important to the school district's business. So that's another way I'm looking at it. I'm trying to make an effort to make these meetings shorter, and every little bit counts, because we should not be having 5-hour meetings. That's why.
Well, if I could comment on a couple of things. When I first came to the district, the procedure that was in place was to have a principal or an assistant principal at each of the meetings representing elementary or secondary. And we have moved away from that. The central office staff is here because of the number of agenda items. And if you look at this month as an example, I didn't generate those topics just by pulling, or in some cases they were initiated by the board. So they were important issues, and there wasn't really anything on this particular caucus agenda for February that you could actually cut out. They were all important items that the citizens and taxpayers of the school district, I think, would have an interest in. And it is true that I think some of the discussion goes on, but in order for the public, as an example tonight, to hear the audit report, Mr. Brandenburg chose to get down through it. So, you know, it's the board's agenda. We package it as an administration. I think there are times that the administrators need to be here. We've been kind of selected as to, you know, as far as fluid participation, who really needs to be here, who doesn't need to be here. The items tonight the potential of questions coming either to me or the central office staff is the basic reason or purpose of them being here.
Well,
So there are times they need to be here.
well, I feel, well, Mr. Brandenburg, I already said, should be at every single meeting because he is our business manager. He should be able to answer any financial questions. And Dr. Kurt, you oversee every department. If there isn't a question that you can answer, then we can contact the administrators and get that question answered. But I feel that if you have an assistant,
we pay them for, and again, I'm going to stick with my suggestion. And I do know that we do already principals, don't we, every month?
We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
The reason that you say that we need to be with our students.
Right, and I feel our central administrators do the same, unless there's something specific on the agenda. If there's something specific on the agenda, of course we want them in. And like I said, if there's questions that you can't answer or we feel we need a more in-depth answer, we can bring them in and actually have our entire central administrative staff sitting here meeting after meeting. I don't feel that we can have them better than we can their job during the daytime. And so again, I'm going to ask for consensus to give permission, or I guess a better way to phrase it, not to require them unless it's specifically on the agenda. And how does everyone feel about that?
I think there are resources of information, and I think that we can sugarcoat these long meetings if we want to, but I think there is a common denominator that makes them go on the way they do. It's just to limit your questioning and understand what they're telling you and avoid being redundant. Without questions, I'm not care for those work. And other meetings, you don't have to look at other districts to find out how long the meetings go. Look at last year's meeting. We didn't sit here this long then. So it just happens again. So I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but we were able to get to the agenda in a timely fashion because this is about the meeting.
Right, and
your right-hand man into your seat.
Think about it, last year we didn't have any controversial topics the entire
Really? Elderson didn't find it controversial?
Goes on before that, September 2008. Right, so now we're back to controversy again, so we run into that, and that's right, Mr. Close. So, and I'm not going to get into this back and forth. I asked the board a question, if the board approves of it, fine. If the board doesn't, then end the discussion. That's all I ask. And this is only one thing that I'm looking at to try to make our meetings shorter. So,
Close the school!
Any other ones? I'm asking general consensus.
Well, I would hope that if we're going to eliminate administrators in here, certain ones that Dr. Kerr would be knowledgeable to be able to answer questions based on the fact that he has the agenda ahead of time. So, if that's the case, which I think should be the case, then I would support the administrators that don't have to be here. They don't have to be. I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, long Dr. Kerr, and then for
Right. And I think that's a given. And so Mr. Johnson?
no, I believe it's up to the superintendent, and we also let Hay to make a decision.
And Mr. Rearic? And Mr. Montgomery?
Where is he?
I can't see it. It's down all the way.
Where is he, Mr. Solak? I don't have the implication to be out there that someone I'm capable of answering the questions, because I think I have a pretty good in-depth understanding and knowledge of this school district and all the problems and issues that we